It should be mostly sunny today with a high near 90. Come and join us at the Nemo Fair tonight as it is KMEM night with country superstar Dustin Lynch. It'll be mostly clear tonight with the low right around 74 and mostly sunny tomorrow with a high near 91. We will see you at the fair.
This is the award-winning broadcast of Healthy University, bringing health and vitality to you and your family, brought to you by Scotland County Hospital in Memphis. Now, here's your host, Dr. Randy Tobler.
Doctor, my eyes have seen the years and the slow parade of fears without crying. Now I want to understand. I have done all that I could to see the evil and the good without hiding.
Good morning, and welcome to the program.
That's a three-point landing.
What happened? My chair slipped out from underneath me. Did you sabotage me, bro?
Yes, I set you up for that one.
Holy cow.
I wanted you to hit your chin on the desk, but you didn't do it.
No. Resilient. Did you notice the recovery?
Yes, I did.
That's some core strengthening.
Yeah. Okay.
What's going on?
It looked good, I can tell you that.
Yeah.
Whole bunch of household items to take care of.
Yeah, we do.
What are you doing?
Lots going on. Going on.
How's your day? How you doing?
Busy day.
Crazy?
Yeah, I tell you, babies are falling out of the sky because
That's what I heard.
I guess we had a busy fall, if you know what I mean. In the area.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Everybody was active.
In indoor sporting events.
Yes.
Now, how's Elisa? How's Elisa?
She's shaking her
I shake
head
my
right
head
now.
and roll my eyes.
Yeah, the fifth graders are at it
The
again.
fifth graders snuck out into the principal's office and are playing open mic on the PA system.
Yeah. We did it.
Well, we're going to have a very a serious-minded show with a real expert in the field, and luckily, right here works in our area
Yes.
and with the hospital and
That's
up at the
awesome.
school. In just a minute, when we talk about a couple other things, and that is Davy Heine. She'll be joining us in just a moment. She's a speech pathologist, audiology expert, and autism will be the topic today. So we'll talk about that, and maybe we can expand into communication disorders and developmental disorders as a rule.
She's been at Rusk Rehab and Jeff City and doing all kinds of things. So I hope we get the time not to learn a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
today.
we will do that. And autism becomes an ever more, I guess, prevalent and appreciated, and even though not, I guess, terribly well understood to this day, but at least I think less intimidating topic. I mean, it's more out in the open. People talk about it now more often, so that's a good thing.
The thing I hear most people say is, I didn't realize there were this many people.
Yeah, right.
You just hear it all the time.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I guess it's close to being an epidemic. I don't know what truly defines that. I don't know if anyone really has a definite description of what that is, but we'll talk about that in a few minutes. What's going on at the hospital?
Oh, can I just tell you, we've got a ream of information for you this morning. One of the things is NemoDoc Lunch and Learn, which will be 12 noon Thursday, July 18th, and it'll be with Mary Ryder, registered dietitian. It's called Controlling Cholesterol and Sodium, and for the first time, we're welcoming our certified cardiac rehab clients to join us for that event, and that again will be on 12 noon Thursday, July 18th, and it'll be in the new North Dining Room, so come through parking lot A at the hospital and bring your lunch and bring a friend and your diet glucose activity journal if you have one, and we will welcome Chrissy Siegfried, RN, supervisor of the Certified Cardiac Rehab Center, and she will be bringing friends along with us, and it will be a great event. It's open to the public. It is free of charge, and if you have information that you would like to know about it or questions you'd have, you can call Shelby Westhoff at 660-465-8511. And also,
I got a question for you. Can folks who are just interested in good, healthy living and nutrition come? Because while it's called NemoDoc and sort of the diabetes, obesity clinic and all that, I mean, that's what DOC stands for. Anyone who's interested in wellness and living well, I mean, the same principles apply. So there's no sense in limiting yourself.
As I gird my belt on early in the morning and take a look in the big long mirror, I still see a obesity level going on there. So there are a lot of us that could just come.
You gird your belt on, like Orion the Hunter.
Believe me, it takes more than just putting it in the notch. So, there are all kinds of us people who could really get and benefit from that meeting. And,
okay, good.
And again, that's on at 12 noon on Thursday, July 18th.
BYOL.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. Then also, in conjunction with that, Chrissy Siegfried and I will be on the road with the Cardiac Rehab Show, and that will be Wednesday, July 24th at the Clark County Nutrition Site, and then Wednesday, August 7th at the Knox County Nutrition Site, and then Wednesday, August 14th at the Schuyler County Nutrition Site. So, folks, if you can make any of those times when you're there for lunch or something, be sure and come in and see us, and we'll have some information and some free gifts for you.
So that was July 24th at Clark County Nutrition.
Yep, and then it was August
14th for Schuyler.
14th for Schuyler, and the 7th for Knox County.
Wow, you're a busy bee.
And then also, I did want to mention Autism Spectrum Connection Group Thursday, July 18th, 2013, from 6 to 7. There's a presentation from Autism Services Melissa Killen. So if you can, please come to that. Scotland County Hospital Library Conference Room. Babysitting is provided for that event. Again, Thursday, July 18th, from 6 to 7 in the evening.
Any registration? No?
I don't think there's any registration.
Just come on in.
And, of course, there's no charge, so just come on in. And then if you have a new baby on the way, I do not, but if you do have a new baby on the way, you are invited, moms-to-be and family, experience the journey to birth, no matter where you plan to give birth. So if you're not planning on giving birth at Scotland County Hospital, that's okay. We want you to come to this class, and we welcome you to that. It's free. It's a prenatal class. It's Monday and Tuesday, July 29th and 30th from 7 in the evening till 9. And please use the north dining room entrance. That's parking lot A. And you enter the north entrance there, and it's right off Ziegler Avenue. And there's absolutely no charge for this. It's all free, and you do not have to be planning to deliver at Scotland County Hospital. These classes are available for 2 nights, July 29th and 30th. There will be tours of the facility and refreshments, plus a whole lot of information on those little things that don't come with an operator's manual.
No, they don't. So there'll be education guaranteed when you leave. You'll be educated, you'll have your questions answered, and you'll be reassured. Yeah, and you get a tour of the labor and delivery facility, the Women's Center.
And what night do you teach, Dr. Tobler? What night are you typically there?
I don't know. I'm usually there, but if not, one of our OBs is there. And I know. I hope this. I want to introduce Dr. Jennings.
Oh yes, she's delivering babies now.
Yeah, I'm not sure if she's her schedule yet, but if she's around, we're going to introduce her.
Yeah.
And we always like to let people know that it's a group practice in terms of the OB, because two people do need time off, and when they take a day off, then someone's always there to cover them, and we all have similar philosophies, and so we all sort of share the teaching responsibilities.
Absolutely.
And so it's good. And you'll meet the OB staff, or at least the leadership in that staff, and others, and then a doc or two, and then also probably one of the most important people. You know who that is? Anesthesia.
Yes.
Yeah.
Heroes.
The anesthesia always is very, very important.
Help me.
Heroes.
Yeah, that's right. They come riding in. Actually, we have them ride in on a white horse.
Yes.
They do, yeah.
It's very dramatic.
It's our version of the Lone Ranger.
And then one more thing, and I promise I'll leave you alone after that.
Yeah.
Antique Fair 5K walk and run, and that's Saturday, August 24th. That's the Saturday of Antique Fair Week. It starts the race itself starts at 8 in the morning. The registration begins at 7 that morning. It's over on the east side of the Memphis Square. It's brought to you by Scotland County Hospital Employee Wellness Committee, and also a whole host of local businesses and professional people. And the entry fees, individuals, are $15 before the 15th of this month, and then or before the 15th of August, and then $20 after the 15th. Family, same household, is $35 before August 15th, and after that it's $40. But school kids, all children, K through 12, have a special price of $10, and that's anytime. And so we want to encourage everyone to plan now to register for that. Now, you can go to scotlandcountyhospital.com, and on our website, on the home page, you'll see right in the middle of the page a big blue 5K. If you look at that, on the bottom of it is a link. And you can open that up, and it is the page that has the registration slip on it. You can print it off right there and go ahead and apply for it. Also, we'll have them in some key locations, like at the pharmacy and up at the newspaper office, a couple other places.
And in case you didn't have your water-cooled pen while Bud was going through that litany of all the great services and gatherings and events and concerts, you are doing a concert sometime this summer.
I am doing a concert.
Good. Would it be rockabilly? Would it be heavy,
It's you
metal,
and me.
or what are you going to do? It's country,
Since we're
jazz?
both trombone players,
Yeah.
it's you and I.
Oh.
You've heard of silent auctions?
Yes.
This is a silent concert.
And
Very popular.
I do want to
Very
give a
popular.
shout out
Thank
to
you.
Elisa
Very
and Bud, because I
popular.
know you've seen them at the fair, at the booths, and they've been all around to various events and, telling folks about the hospital. So thank you for getting the word out about the hospital. And if you're out and about, say hi to them. And give them a bottle of water. They get thirsty, dehydrated.
A bottle of water is always good.
So all these events will be on the website as well. And we'll try to
Yes.
reprise this at the end of the hour.
Yeah.
Davey Heine, how you doing? Welcome. Thank you for being here. Whenever we have a speech pathologist, especially with such esteem in here, I need to elocute well. And I need to articulate clearly when I talk.
I got that one.
Right. That's the right word, isn't it? Elocution? Yes.
Yeah.
But that's not just what speech pathology is about lisping and so forth. I mean, there's a lot more involved in what you do.
Goodness. Yeah.
And so let's talk about autism a little bit in terms of the scope of the problem and the magnitude and why we're just seeing an explosion of it. I mean, the numbers have gone crazy over the last decade or so, haven't they?
Yeah, they've really increased over the past few years. They kind of project it might go down a little bit just because the new DSM-4 or DSM-5 kind of changed the spectrum a little bit, but it still just continues to raise.
And we think in terms of autism, I think most of us have, many people have in their mind's eye, the vision of the sort of the stereotypical out of control child who, sits in the corner and quiet and sort of broods, and then all of a sudden there's this act. That's not really the whole game, right? There's a whole, like you said, a spectrum of disorders that are really related, correct?
Yeah, it's really, spectrum is a very good word for it because there is a lot of the stereotypes, but it can be as mild as you wouldn't even notice it in a crowd. And then it can be severe that way also. But it really, and to be diagnosed with it, it's not a blood test. A lot of people are confused. They see that stereotype. It's actually, there's an ADOS test. And if you have so many characteristics, you get the diagnosis and you get put somewhere on the spectrum. So it's not, there's definitely a severity level to it.
All right. That's Davey Heine. She's a speech pathologist, works here at Scotland County Hospital as well as up at the school. And we'll talk a little bit and learn more about her and about the problem and about what can be done about it and about early diagnosis and any of your questions. The numbers are 465-7225.
And 1-800-748-7875.
Did I do a good job, Elisa? I got it right, didn't I? She scolded me last time. We'll be back.
Or star 55 on your cellular phone. If you've been the victim of a drunk driver, call 1-888-773-1800. Call us. We're there for you. A message from Sergeant Brent Bernhardt of the Missouri State Highway Patrol and KMEM.
Missouri's diverse natural resources offer countless outdoor experiences for hunters, fishermen, and trappers alike. These opportunities range from fishing big rivers, streams, and lakes to hunting deer and turkey or capturing an elusive fur bearer. As you plan your next outdoor adventure, be sure to remember to purchase your hunting, fishing, or trapping permit. Your purchase helps to ensure these outdoor resources will be available for future generations to enjoy. This has been Missouri Conservation Agent Gary Miller.
Today in school, I learned a lot. In chemistry, I learned that no one likes me. In biology, I learned that I'm fat and stupid. In English, I learned that I'm disgusting. And in gym, I learned that I'm pathetic and a joke. The only thing I didn't learn in school today is why no one ever helps.
Kids witness bullying every day. They want to help, but they don't know how. Teach them how to stop bullying and be more than a bystander at stopbullying.gov. A message from the Ad Council.
I'll buy you a diamond ring, my friend, if it makes you feel alright. I'll get you anything, my friend, if it makes you feel alright. 'Cause I don't care too much for money, 'cause money can't buy me love. Give you all I got to give if you say you love me too. I may not have a lot to give, but what I got I'll give to you. I don't care too much for money, 'cause money can't buy me love, can't buy me love. And everybody tells me so. You can't buy me love. No, 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 no. You and I are just like a couple of tots running around the meadow, picking up all those forget-me-nots. You make me feel so young. You make me feel there are songs to be sung, bells to be rung, and a wonderful fling to be flung. And even when I'm old and gray, I'm gonna feel the way I do today, 'cause you make me feel so young.
21 after the hour on Healthy You. Thanks for being with us this morning on a humid day. I guess we've returned to some humidity. Hopefully that'll clear up.
Yeah.
Need a little rain, don't we?
We do,
Yeah.
and maybe just hold on, maybe Saturday and Sunday, but it's like 30%, so I don't know.
No, you'll have to put on your...
In the meantime, it's hot, followed by more hot.
You'll have to gird yourself with your Hopi rain dance gear and do something for us.
I don't know.
Davey Heine joins us, graduated in 2001 with a BS in speech pathology and audiology, and in 2003 with a master's in communication disorders, and worked at the Rusk Rehabilitation in, where was that, in Jeff's?
Columbia.
In Columbia. Mm-hmm. And then the Special Learning Center in Jeff City.
Yes.
And private agency down there. And now joins us here. You've been here for what, a couple years?
Yeah, 2 years.
Oh, that's great. And you split time between the hospital and the school?
Yes.
Yeah. And I know that there's an active early childhood. We're talking about autism, autism spectrum disorders, behavioral disorders, communication disorders in general. And while we've seen nationally an increase in autism and diagnoses, and part of that may be due to sort of the definitions. If we broaden the definition, you see more cases, obviously. But there may be something more to it. I mean, we know it's not vaccines. I think we've
right.
shut the door on that one, right? Even though I still see little blogs and tweets bubble to the top now and then. But I think I'm pretty convinced, and I'm a skeptic, but I'm pretty convinced that that's not a problem.
Well, that's probably going to be like that as long as Elvis is still in the building.
Yeah, well, people are always looking for an answer for mysterious problems that are troubling and vexing and hard to fix, right?
They are.
And so it's not surprising that they want to pin the tail on some donkey, but that's not the right donkey.
No, I think they have new brain imaging studies, like diffusion tensor imaging, I think is a new one. And a lot of the leading research people in autism have been following that research, and that's what's kind of shifted it more so to they see how the brain develops itself and what's actually causing this epidemic. And it's not the vaccines, it's just the propensity towards the neurological development. And there's a genetic component. I mean, they're exploring environmental components, but that's more where it's shifting.
Yeah, I remember we talked with an autism neurobiologist, a month or two ago, and he talked about the difference. And I mean, there is a predilection, a gender difference, right?
Yeah, it's more pronounced in boys.
Yeah, and he was talking about how, it was actually sort of, when you boil it down, it sounded a little bit like a very scientific discussion, but it was really sort of the men are from Mars and women are from Venus kind of thing, that our left and right brains are different, and there seems to be a connectivity, we know that, called the corpus callosum,
right?
The connection junction between the halves of the brain, and there may be something there that happens, right? I mean,
yeah, they're saying it has a lot to do with connectivity.
Yeah.
A typical brain development, a child that just kind of the brain stimulates itself to kind of reach out and learn different ways, multisensory. And in these children, it gets kind of stunted and the brain doesn't integrate. Brain grows from the inside out, and they kind of call it houses and highways. So you have these little houses and you have to build the highways as you grow. And what's happening with these children is they're making very short highways and not integrating the brain. So that's why you see that repetitive learning, that propensity to want to just learn from sameness instead of differences.
And the neat thing is, and I know there's been a real emphasis here all the way from the parents as teachers and, to the special ed to try to identify children at the earliest point, because I remember talking to Temple Grandin about this a year or two ago and on this program, and she said, boy, she was just pushing it early because brains are plastic. I don't mean really, but they're plastic in that they can be flexible and they can be molded, and that's what you do.
Right. And what's kind of interesting to me is my initial job at Rusk. I love the cognitive rehab, and I worked in the schools a little bit, and I really love that cognitive part. And I think that's why I've kind of worked my career towards autism, because it really is the same thing. You have a head injury and the brain's healing, and it has this propensity to want to learn. It thrives on it. So you catch that window and you retrain the brain. And in early intervention, whether it be autism or language disorder or articulation, if you catch them early, the brain literally wants to train itself, and the rewards you get from that are by far, if you catch that early, you can really see a huge difference. Yeah,
and there's a misunderstanding, I think, among the general public that kids with autism, Asperger's, whatever, the spectrum, are, I'm going to use an old, outdated term, but mentally retarded. They're not. I mean, they're not. This is not a problem with basic, cognitive IQ function, right? I mean, this is basically a social behavior disorder.
The neurons are there. That's the difference. I used to think there was damage.
Right.
It's very different. There's not damage. It's that connectivity. And if you can stimulate the connectivity, if you can find that underlying process to really target, it's just amazing what you can see.
So you've seen real changes. I mean, you've seen really major progress.
Yeah, I've seen children that started out on the spectrum, and literally, now granted, there's lots of schools of thought on that, whether you can be cured. I don't believe in the cure. Everyone has propensity, strengths, and weaknesses, but I've had
Except
children.
Bud. He only has strengths. There are no weaknesses. Ask Brenda.
But they can start out on the spectrum, and by the time they left the early intervention program, they would no longer have enough to be on the spectrum.
There you go, folks. Yeah. Early intervention. You'll keep hearing that over and over and over. I mean, that's so important. Unlike a lot of tragic diseases that people get, terrible aggressive cancers. Early, we talk about early, but there's not a lot you can do for certain things, right? Yeah.
And it's not just autism.
You can make a big
anything.
difference. Yeah.
The language disorders, that's the one thing in my career, and I've spoken with other speech therapists about this, we don't see delays as much anymore, where it's just sentence structure, vocabulary. We see a lot of these processing disorders. And that
Why is that, you think? Do you have an opinion?
I have it kind of goes along with the autism. There's just, I think, a lot of, we're busy. We're not making kids problem solve. Yeah. They're learning things more in a similar fashion instead of a multisensory way. So, and just some of the research on language disorders are just saying that it is more processing disorders. So they're not, the brain isn't being challenged in ways that it used to be. And they can say it as simple as, when you're in the morning and you're getting your children ready, let them put their own shoes on, let them put their own clothes on, let them pick their own things. Don't get in this hurry to do this for them all the time, because you're not driving that brain to listen to directions, go in different ways.
So let them struggle with tying their shoes rather than the Velcro?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a simple analogy.
But it really
Elisa's cringing here. I mean, no, that was a simple illustration, but I think the point is, and I think this, and again, I'm not an expert in this, because boy, have we made our share of mistakes along the parenting way, but letting kids struggle and letting them hassle with things, because you desperately want them to see them succeed, and their definition of success is getting the right answer and then going outside and playing, right?
And I think there's a lot of parents who, and we're not all like this, but a lot of us parents who maybe didn't use the terms enough, like to the kids saying like, well, what would you do? Or what do you think you should do? We just go ahead and ram it down their throats.
Yeah, that's true. And so in a way, we may be, it was interesting. It almost said, like, did you say earlier that the brain thrives on curiosity and on learning? It's almost like fuel for the brain?
It is, a novelty.
So when things are fed to you, spoon-fed in terms of
challenge.
giving the kid all the answers, giving them then they lack the drive or the need to go out and seek stimulus and to seek curiosity and learning.
That's pretty cool.
That's
And when
fascinating.
when you combine that with this tremendous growth spurt in the age of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7-year-olds, it's just unbelievable how fast they grow.
Oh, yeah.
So you really got a combination.
And we hear about windows in terms of child development. I'd like to talk with that when we come back. And I'm not going to ambush you. I'm going to give you the break to think about this because Elisa warns me
She
once in a while I
appreciates that.
ambush a guest. I don't mean to. Because it's just like we're having a cup of... wouldn't it be cool to have a cup of coffee with Einstein? You just pick his brain. Well, we're having a cup of coffee with our Einstein of speech pathology,
Yes,
Davey Heine,
indeed.
because she clearly knows an awful lot about the theory as well as the practical aspects of communication problems and how to the ins and outs of it. But many people, including me, and again, being an obstetrician, I'm very concerned about intrauterine influences and what it means for kids later. We covered a story last week that tobacco use, you being an audiologist would find this interesting, decreased the hearing in adolescents of moms who use tobacco by 3 decibels. I mean, it's not a ton, but it was interesting.
I'm not an audiologist.
Oh, I thought you were.
Bachelor's in
You studied audiology.
Yeah,
Oh.
bachelor's in audiology. But
Okay, well, I'm going to call you an audiologist anyway, because you seem to know everything about everything. We'll be back with Davey Heine and continue our discussion on autism. Stay there.
Fans Hall of Fame weekend at Busch Stadium presented by Edward Jones is coming up when the Cardinals face the Padres, July 19th, 20th, and 21st. Friday night, it's the Ozzie Smith Gold Glove Bobblehead Night, courtesy of Ameren, Missouri. Saturday, the Cardinals and Delta Airlines honor Red Shandies with an adult replica of his 1940s jersey. Sunday, the weekend wraps up with a tribute to the greatest Cardinal of them all, Stan the Man. You'll take home the Stan Musial replica bronze statue, just like the one displayed on the corner of 8th and Clark. Get your tickets at cardinals.com/promotions.
Are you pregnant or think you might be? It's common to feel confused, scared, or overwhelmed. The choices you face now are not easy ones, and Memphis Area Pregnancy Care Center is available to help you. Our trained pregnancy consultants truly care about you and are dedicated to helping with decisions about pregnancy and other related concerns. Come in for a free pregnancy test and learn about options and help available to you. All of our services are free and confidential. Give Memphis Area Pregnancy Care Center a call at 660-465-7179.
Any person that is required to have a hunting, fishing, or trapping permit is also required by the Wildlife Code to carry that permit and picture identification on their person. Agents can check these privileges by calling the permit system. However, you are in violation if you do not have a permit to show the agent during a compliance check. Before you leave the house to go fishing this summer, make sure you remember to grab that fishing permit and keep it with you at all times. This has been Missouri Conservation Agent Shannon Smith.
He worked out early, practiced late, and studied well into the night. The next day, he did it all over again.
She missed time hanging out and socializing with friends, so she could make it on time to practices and games.
He became a top student and a confident leader, even as he helped his team win back-to-back conference titles.
She became a role model in her community, even as she led her team to an undefeated season.
And when they finished playing high school sports, what did they do next?
She graduated from college with honors and went to work for a successful company.
He attended graduate school and became a difference maker in his community.
Because that's what student athletes in Iowa do. They use the skills they develop playing high school sports today
to do even bigger things in life tomorrow.
High school sports.
A winning part of a complete education.
This message presented by the Iowa High School Athletic Association and the Iowa High School Athletic Directors Association.
Other arms reach out to me. Other eyes smile tenderly. Still in peaceful dreams I see the road leads back to you. Oh, Georgia, Georgia. Oh, peace I find.
Sort of feels like a summer day in Georgia, doesn't it?
Yes, indeedy.
But I'm glad that Bud's on the radio with me because he's a peach of a co-host.
Peach?
A peach of a co-host! Go on, your turn. Davey Heidi joins us. If you have a question for her about anything in the autism communication disorder, Asperger's, that whole spectrum of problems.
Absolutely.
It's become so, I guess, so come out of the closet, if you will, and people talk about it now, and it's healthy to do that. And you may know someone or have a relative or nephew or grandson or whoever that has it. Why, give her a call. 465-7225.
And 1-800-748-7875. And if you're streaming, grab your cell phone.
That's right. We're talking about influences, early influences, and windows and learning opportunities. And on all children, I hear about, I don't know much about child development per se in terms of specifics, but you hear about like the first 3 years are so important, and then whatever, this window is important. What about that? First of all, postnatal, are there certain windows past which mom and dad of a newborn or grandma and grandpa with a newborn grandson, granddaughter can sort of feel, quote, safe outside of a certain window?
Outside of a certain window to know that the child's okay?
Going to be all right?
If
it's going to show, is it going to show by?
Yeah, most by 7.
Yeah.
And just in typical development, there is a chemical in the brain that, not that you can't have intervention at any time and that it can do good for your child, but there's certain chemicals that occur in the brain up to age 7 that just stimulate that growth, and then it starts to prune.
Yes.
So, if you get to 7, I'd say you're pretty good.
Do you find that when you are one of the early childhood educators, or maybe a mom or dad or grandma or grandpa says something, and then this diagnosis is raised, do you find a lot of hesitance and a lot of denial and sort of concern? Or are we getting over that now? Are we beginning to make some strides in, some hope for these people so they are willing to face it straight on earlier on rather than delay?
Right. I think a lot of it, the research in early intervention, I think that helps, if you have a concern, being able to present that right away, that there is help for your child.
Yeah.
And then I do think people are more open to it just because it isn't necessarily the stereotype that it was before. You do have people like Temple Grandin, and it is a spectrum. So I think people are more aware of the spectrum now, so they don't have that stereotype as much.
What do we know about mom's lifestyle, how she does during her pregnancy, if there's any effects on babies?
That's kind of new research. The only thing that I've kind of seen recently was just about how lack of oxygen may or not impact it, and certain environmental things that turn on and turn off genes.
I wonder if we might just mention some of the symptoms that moms and dads should look for, or might already be seeing and saying, what the heck, and trying to figure out what to do with it.
I think definitely when kids start to, if they have some words and they lose words, that's a red flag. I think that's where the vaccines.
Well, tell me what you mean. If they had words and then they lose words?
So if they're around age 1 and they say, mommy, daddy, ball, cookie, and then they're talking and they're interacting, that reciprocal interaction is the biggest thing that I think people have a hard time seeing, but it's the biggest indicator. So your child's interacting back and forth in a very not even verbal way, just playing back and forth. And all of a sudden they lose interest in that, whether it be verbal or gestures.
Well, that should be pretty noticeable to mom.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But I think a lot of people take nonverbal communication. They say, oh, he's just a boy, or, oh, he just wants to be by himself. But it can be tricky sometimes. But that reciprocal interaction is a hallmark of just typical neurological development. So if you see that change, that's a good time to maybe come into your pediatrician.
That's interesting. Now, I want to tell you a little story here. It's interesting. My mom used to always go round and round with us when we were kids because my wife didn't want to, because it's not been in vogue since the 50s when I was born, late 50s, that mom said, why don't you guys just let the kid in the playpen and let them play with their toys and have fun and that's what we did. And, and it was, and the new news has been always, you must always, or at least that was the vogue at the playground group, right? Always got to be with the kid, always got to be attending to the kid, helicoptering, attending.
Right.
But there were a lot of kids that grew up 30, 40, 50 years ago that were just sort of left to their own, putting a playpen. What?
Right, but they would.
What does that mean?
They would have the desire to interact. So
yeah,
they would want your attention. They would know how to call your attention.
Oh, I used to cry for hours. No, I didn't. DFS called the mom. No, but it was like my because young moms often will say, well, I've got to run and, go do a choir practice, and then they get guilted out by someone like, oh, well, you're going to leave or not even a choir practice. I'm going to go practice my scales in the corner, Oh, you leave the baby alone for 20 minutes by himself or herself. Are you saying that leaving kids alone is a bad thing or be with themselves?
No, it's the red flag of it. So if you have a child that's content to stay in their playpen all day, that is a red flag.
So, but if they have the opportunity to interact and they're not, that's a problem then.
Yeah, they should seek you out.
I see. Yeah. Okay. And apparently I didn't have any problem that way.
Apparently.
I don't know. There are other oddities, though,
so
that
what
you
else?
talked about.
What else would we be seeing if we're, let's say the baby's like 3 or 4 years old, maybe just getting ready for like first preschool or something like that.
Play is a huge indicator of all things in cognition, but play is a huge indicator in autism too. If you see a child with autism, for example, might have a lid and just flip it over and over, and maybe a typical child, 3, maybe throw it as a frisbee. They might try and have their friend get it. They'll do it, play in multiple ways, and pretend play around 3 should be developing, and that's another red flag. If your child around 3 and 4 doesn't have some type of pretend play and schematic play, where schematic play being, you're playing at a kitchen set and you wash the dishes, you dry the dishes, you feed the baby. That's another indicator. It could be autism, or it could just be a language delay also.
So it's interesting. I mean, we talk about sort of, a lot of us are getting worried these days about, communal ADHD in our society. Everyone has it seems like, because there's the cell phone going off and everyone, you're hyper-stimulated from all directions. But it sounds like you want your kid, I mean, it's a good sign if your kid is sort of at a very, very young age, sort of very distractible in a healthy kind of way, trying new things, just being very inventive in a way, right?
Right. But the difference is there's some interesting studies on cell phones and ADD too, but the schematic play, it's connected, so it has goal-oriented behavior. So if a child's changing activities, but there's kind of a streamlined goal, that actually works against ADD propensities.
Right.
But if they're going, and kids do this, but so it'd be on a severity level. But if they jumped from, playing with their cars and they run and open the door and then they run upstairs and get something, that's not typical play. But if there's some kind of goal stream through the play, that's actually very good for attention.
Huh. Okay, you teased us about the interesting stuff with cell phones, so now you can't just leave us hanging.
No, one of the researchers I went to, she compared it to Pavlov's dog about how people hear the ding now, and it's a similar reaction to what.
Oh, who hasn't had their children? Are you listening, kids?
Yeah.
Who hasn't had take your children to a nice restaurant, you get the steak dinner, it's a big celebration, and you just sit there and just rock back in your chair and you watch the table going, and it's like they're constantly checking, because they may have it on buzz, but it's like it is an insatiable addictive urge. It's worse than Lay's potato chips, right? And it comes out of their pocket and they can't help themselves. And you're right, it's like a Pavlovian response.
Yeah, she compared it to ADD itself, like stopping, starting, stopping, starting.
Right.
Your attention, you do not have sustained attention when you have your cell phone with you.
Over the July 4th weekend, I had the first extended few days off I'd had in a long time, and I decided to turn the cell phone off or leave it just out so where I couldn't be near it, left it in the car for a whole day. First, I felt really relaxed and good. Then I felt really guilty. Think there's a problem, Davey?
Adult-acquired ADD, yeah.
But I think we all have that to some degree. So I guess think about it. If us adults who are able to process and in our own mind say, hey, we know there's a problem here, we got to watch it, you got to manage it.
Right.
What's a little kid going to do, right?
Because you are wiring the brain. It's
So you have some real concerns.
Well, I'm just going to that conference. I'm just and being a speech therapist and working in cognition, the whole sustained attention. I'm aware of that a lot, about how much you shift and jump and how it's not good for you. It's good to have a goal and maintain that. And with my kids, I try and foster that in their play. Give them something and push them to stay with that. Do it in multiple ways, but stay with it.
Well, let's talk about in your play for a minute, because in the kids' play, there's like when I was young, and before that, when Dr. Tobler was young.
Wait a minute.
We did.
I thought you played with Abe Lincoln. Did you build Lincoln log houses?
Yes, indeed. The girls did Susie Homemaker, and the guys did Cowboys and Indians. Well, now there's not much Cowboys and Indians probably, but there's constantly here, take the cell phone. There's a game on there, and we're at the restaurant, and they sit quietly, which was what the intent was when they gave them a cell phone. But is for growth. Is the imaginary part of Cowboys and Indians, for instance, interacting with other kids but not having anything to do with computers, is that good? Or is the computer games and stuff okay too? Does it do the same thing, or is there a difference between them?
I think everything in moderation. There's some other research that talks about why, I am a mother. You'll see me, I'll put my cell phone with my child and somewhere, but the family construct is different. People didn't used to take their kids everywhere. They had them with their grandparents.
That's true.
And as far as like the imaginative play, that is something that is a concern in the research, that we just aren't doing that as much. And it is, computer games are not bad, but just like sensory drives the brain. So what you feel, what you hear, so letting a child read a book on the iPad is not near as challenging cognitively as letting them flip through a book, feel the pages, turn, hear the pages. So it's that kind of. So you just need to use.
So we're kind of getting into a little bit of the part of the environmental part of it. Yeah.
So does that mean? There's been a push in a lot of the schools, and there's been discussions at our school district about. Because it's a nationwide thing. Okay, one child, one iPad. Does everyone get their own iPad, and when do they get that? And I think right now it's mainly about the upper grades, but so there could be potential hazard to giving very young children this virtual world without the multi-sensory. You keep saying that. So now we're listening, we're feeling with our hands, we're seeing. All of that stuff is important together, right?
Right. The research, I think there's going to be a lot of sensory drives the brain. And just because everyone, of course, wants their child to be smart and do well in school, there's some research in that too. Just if you want a smart child, an integrated brain is an intelligent child. So if you expose multi-senses and have them use them at one time, that's what drives the brain. So I do think with the iPads, I've had to be especially careful with autism, because they can get stuck on it because it is their propensity. They like the sameness. They like not multi-sensory. So some of my kids, I ask them not to have an iPad.
That's comfortable ground.
Right. Yeah. You just have to know your child.
Wow. So there she is, the anti-technology Davy Heine. No, I'm kidding you. I'm kidding. It's like most things, right? There's tools, and tools can be used poorly or for the right reason. Yeah.
And just know your child.
Yeah. That's great. When we come back, if we can keep you for just a couple more minutes, I'd like to talk to you about some terms here that are, I don't know, they sound really complex. Pivotal response training, floor time. Now, Bud has spent some time in the corner. I don't know if he's ever done floor time. And the early start Denver model. Would this be like Rocky Mountain High? Or not the John Denver model?
No.
No.
And I'd like to know about music training in terms of multisensory, and whether it's good, if we should put all our autistic kids in a Suzuki class or not. We'll be back with Davy Heine, speech pathologist extraordinaire, here on Healthy You. If you have a question or comment for her, the numbers are 465-7225
and 1-800-748-7875.
It's later, I'm alone with you. The time is right, your perfume fills my head. The stars get red and all the nights so blue. And then I go and spoil it all by saying something stupid like I love you.
Chitra was born into a Hindu family in a small village of Nepal, but he never saw any truth in Hinduism. When he was 14 years old, one of his cousins gave him a booklet, Help from Above in Nepali. After reading it, he was convicted of sin and accepted Christ. Due to local opposition, he moved to Kathmandu, where he was baptized and discipled. Now an evangelist, Chitra felt a burden to reach different people groups of Nepal with the gospel. Joining Gospel for Asia, he ended up in charge of publications. The very booklet that brought him to Christ 30 years ago is now a major part of his ministry, and he's distributing it in villages all over the nation. Call 1-800-422-WORD to receive evangelistic scripture booklets in any language you need, free of charge. That's 1-800-422-WORD for free evangelistic scripture booklets.
Presenting How to Kill a Business. Don't advertise.
Just pretend that everybody knows what you have to offer.
Don't advertise.
After all, you really don't have time to spend thinking about promoting your business.
Don't advertise.
You've been in business so long, customers automatically come to you.
Don't advertise.
Remember, there are new potential customers out there.
In good times, you should advertise. In bad times, you must.
Call the KMEM Advertising Department today at 465-7225 or toll free 1-800-748-7875 for more information.
Getting out of the military, I was missing this camaraderie.
It's frustrating when you try and talk to people that don't understand.
I would be talking, but I wasn't there with them. You just feel so alone.
I still had the anger, I still had the addictions, but we didn't talk about that.
Came to a point where it's like, okay, I really need to talk to somebody about this.
Family more or less encouraged me, go to the VA, you're a veteran, see what they can do to help you.
When you have family, friends, when you have the facilities like the VA and the vet center, it gives others encouragement to keep moving forward.
It's okay to go get help. It's okay to talk to people because it takes true strength to ask for help.
Talking with other veterans was the best method for learning the roadmap to success.
Hear veterans' real stories of strength and recovery at MakeTheConnection.net.
We're back talking autism, communication disorders, some fascinating basic research and practical application of it with our expert, Davey Heine, speech pathologist at Scotland County Hospital and also up at the school district as well. And we heard an interesting story afterwards. I want to get to that, but tell us what pivotal response training is.
Pivotal response training is kind of a branch of ABA, Applied Behavior Analysis. So early in my career, behavior analysis was the thing. So I started my career doing that with my children. The only thing, behavior analysis, applied behavior analysis is great for behavior, but I found with communication, it just wasn't giving me results. I had great data, but the kids didn't generalize it.
Okay.
So, and then I kind of shifted. So it's great for me to kind of use that kind of training to get my sessions under control and get kind of a base going. But then beyond that is where I went into the other training.
What is floor time?
Floor time with Stanley Greenspan. He was it's kind of interesting. He's been in the, I think he's actually passed away, but he was in autism forever, it seems like. And his theories are actually kind of research. He was circle of communication was his term. So that reciprocal interaction. And it was kind of in the ABA world, it was not widely accepted, but now you're seeing this importance, especially in early intervention, of not focusing on maybe teaching discrete skills, but just focusing on interaction. Get these children to interact and the brain will take care of itself.
I like that idea.
Yeah.
Sometimes my kids would say, well, what should we do? Why did you read this article on the making of rubber bands? I used to love watching Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. Really, with the kids. Why? Because it was just being around different stuff and learning and doing. And it sounds like a little bit of what you're talking about. Just get them involved.
Right. Get them engaged. Because I've had children that I had They would answer
Yeah.
WH questions, and then I had a child had great data, got all these accolades, and he went to summer camp, and they thought he was a mute because he had no desire to interact, no desire to communicate. It was work. So that's when I kind of shifted in my career, researching this relationship development, how to build the interaction, and then I saw huge results from that.
Now, Bud, I saw your jaw drop when she described a technique she uses and about how kids learn and why iPads may not be the best for autism.
Yeah, it's amazing. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, one of the things I do use with the iPads is the video modeling. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
So when you hand it to them?
No, in autism, I very rarely hand the iPad to the child.
They don't get it?
No,
You
because if
keep
they
it.
get it, you're done.
They're on their own.
Session closed.
Yeah, you're done. So pretty much with the iPad and autism, I'm just very careful on how I use it. It's either from video modeling, so it does help them if they see real children in a video versus having to scope it out in the environment. They can imitate better.
So if they see the same scene that you want them to see so that they can sort of get the idea like this is the kind of behavior this is a goal, right?
Right.
And if they see that in 3D among real kids in the corner, they can't connect with that.
Right.
But on the screen, they can.
They can because it gives it edginess, and it's not. It's kind of like the attention thing too. But they don't have. They describe it as their filters broken.
Okay.
So say they have this propensity for sameness, and they see the fan spinning in the corner, and then you have kids playing over here. Well, you're trying to teach them the scheme with these kids playing, but their brain wants to see the sameness. So if you kind of play on that desire to want to see that sameness, so they like that edge of the iPad, they're familiar with it. You know, it's flat. They'll pick up on those things easier. You've overwhelmed. It's kind of cognitive load. You've overwhelmed their system, and they're going to go to what they're good at versus trying to get right in that zone.
And the jaw-dropping moment was you said that they will sometimes see you or understand you or connect with you better if they see you in the mirror rather than the real you.
Yeah.
So
now that must be awkward. How are you going to produce that teaching moment? That's
Well, I have a little plastic mirror, and I set it on my desk, and you sit at an angle.
Yeah.
And then the child, and I just happened upon it one day in my therapy, and I saw the child watching me in the mirror, but would not make eye contact. And you hear a lot about eye contact and autism. A lot of it's not because it's in some children, it's not because it is alerting or it hurts them. It's just they can't filter, they can't process what it is. But if that edge of that mirror, they can.
That is so wild. Wow. And you happened on this.
Yeah.
Have you published this?
Oh no.
You should publish this. Serendipity is the father and the mother of good science, right? That's excellent.
That's true.
You should publish this. But then you'd become famous and go to a university and leave us. So don't publish this.
It just blows me away.
Isn't that wild? I would have never thunk that.
I will not look at you in the eyes, but I will look you fully in the face and in the eyes in the mirror.
Yeah, that's that processing thing and the connectivity. Yeah. Wow.
Too much.
That's great. So if folks in the audience have heard the word mentioned concerning their child, like maybe your kid needs to be tested for this, or there's a concern, what are the next steps?
Consult your pediatrician or your family practice doctor. PAT in town here is really good. And if you have a concern, either a language concern or TIC or autism, I will make a joint visit with your PAT and just give you some input if you would like that.
Okay.
Feel free to call the hospital, the therapy department.
So they can contact the hospital at 465-8511 and ask for therapy. The therapy department. You can ask for therapy too. That's different. And then after the show, many people do that. And then you'll be happy to arrange a one-on-one. Yeah, that's great. And I know there's a lot of different routes into the hub that is Davy and colleagues. You have colleagues too.
Yes.
Those are?
Other speech therapists that I'm working with right now. Allie Fromm, she's a speech therapist in town, and she also works at the school and the hospital. And I believe Kim Fitzgerald is working at the hospital also, and Trinity Davis.
Right.
We have quite
so many people I know are getting trained for that. Is the discipline really burgeoning? I mean, is there just a lot of training programs?
I get Kellen Wickert too.
Yeah,
She's
Kellen
also
too.
in town.
That's right. It just seems to be like...
I think the therapies itself...
Well, we have an aging population, and a lot of speech therapy and so forth involves strokes and rehab from that, too. So, I mean, I guess meeting a demand there. Well, both ends of life, whether it's a youngster with autism or an oldster who needs some rehab, that's what Davy and friends do.
We are having an Autism Spectrum Connection group on Thursday, July 18th over at the hospital, too, in the conference library.
Yeah. Thursday, July 18th, 6 to 7.
Yes.
You involved with that group?
Yes.
Good. Autism Spectrum Connection. Hey, thanks for being with us. I can just feel the passion. You just have a real passion for what you do. That's great. Thanks for speaking with us and giving all that great information.
I'm going to go let my mind prune for a while.
Yeah.
Do my
I'm
pruning.
going to go throw my cell phone in the ditch. All right. We'll see you guys. Thanks for being here. Remember, this week, be well. Share it with someone you love. Stay cool and hydrated.
Absolutely.
We'll see you next week on Healthy You.
You're listening to the best in area news, weather, and sports on America's Best Country, 100.5 KMEM Memphis, Missouri.